All right, we are live. Okay, so I need to get a few things working here. It's been a little bit confusing getting this to work. Like on the webinar, who's a viewer and then who's, you know, a, a player, you might say. So, 1 second as I figure this out. We're going to look at the NASDAQ stuff with Robert. Until he gets here, I'll look at some Bitcoin stuff. Let me actually ping him again and hop in, peeps. See if we can get the StreamYard webinar working. We're still working out the bugs. But what I'm going to do while I wait for Robert here is I'm going to look at the market, we're live. Good. Okay, so let me share screen, Windows, just this one here, and share. Let me get the proper angle. That angle's okay. Now I'll go full screen. All right, so BitcoinDailyView.com, got more for you there. As far as the NASDAQ stuff, the indicators that we've been using, I made a template. Look in the description, it'll be the first thing. That kind of goes along with what we're doing. Trying to match Robert's. It's not quite perfect, but we'll get that template good. And there'll be a public one, not public, but a kind of a pro one, and then like a free account one that has just enough that it'll work. So whether you're paying for TradingView or whether you're not, you'll be able to get in the action. So BitcoinDailyView.com, got more for you there. It's not here yet, but right up top under Buy Me a Coffee, there'll be links to the indicators that we're using particularly. There are indicators that I've been using for crypto and other things down here at the bottom, but I will put them right up here under Buy Me a Coffee. I will put all the indicators that we're using so you can, get them easy so you're not wondering which one it is, any tunings that we use, and also the link to the template, both the pro, call it pro, that's as what TradingView calls it, pro, or pro or basic. Okay, so looking at FinViz, the markets really have not quite opened yet, so we don't know. They're not telling us anything. Looking at crypto meter here for Bitcoin last 24 hours, we've got 4.7 billion, down 4.3%. So crypto, it's a Tuesday. Bitcoin, that's not massive volume, trading volume for it. Looking at this guy here, this just shows me a lot of the order book that's going on right now for Bitcoin. Let's see, let me kind of scroll a little bit here. Definitely, I would say that there's some, they're battling right now. And we'll take a look at the chart so we can see that a little bit closer. But right now, I'd say the bulls and the bears are battling with Bitcoin. And you can see we are at a point of support and a resistance. And I think right now, looking at the order book, I think we're seeing people, especially with these tails, wicks on these dojis here, I think we're seeing a push to try to get Bitcoin to look at this on TradingView where you can see a little bit easier. But it's kind of a sideways range here. And I think they're trying to, the big money is coming in, trying to push it back to the top of the range. So I think Bitcoin's going to have a slightly bullish day. Looking at longs versus shorts on Binance, where the big money is. Long 67%, shorts 32% for Bitcoin. People are even more optimistic about Ethereum today. Looking at the top 20 exchanges for crypto, looking at spot trading pairs, they're all in the red today. So basically, just we're not seeing a lot of volume on the exchanges. Looking at Bitcoin, the top 100, Bitcoin coming in at 62,655. Bonk doing quite well as an alt. Floki doing quite well, being one of my favorites. Just it's on no good exchanges, in my opinion. I wish Beam would get on, like, I don't know, anywhere that I could trade it easier. But I love Beam, and I think it's really going to be a player. It's one of those things you could just do a long and just hold it for a year and make crap tons. What else is on? What else is happening here? Cardano making a show up today at 4% up. So alts in general, right there between green and red, some making a little bit of a move. I like what I'm seeing. I think Bitcoin and the alts look like they're going to have a positive day, and I like that. Now let's look at BTC versus USD. I like to look at it on Coinbase. I just find it to be the most effective. Let me check for Robert here. I sent him a link, but he might not be able. I can watch, but it seems I can't get in. Okay. All right, I see that, Robert. Let me try to fix that. The webinar thing is like, I'm not going to kid you. It's a bit of a pain in the ass. So let me actually, Beam is on MEXC. Yeah, MEXC is a good exchange. Okay, Robert's here. Let me do something here I'm not in the stream. Let me actually try to get Robert in the stream. There's got to be a way to get Robert in the damn stream. Oh, maybe I got to be, let me go here. Okay. Let me try this. Invite. I think this is where I screwed it up before. And just for fun, I'm going to put it right here in the chat. Anybody wants to hop in, hop in. I'll put this over. Robert, look on Blockchain Education. And here you go. Try this link. I think that'll get you in. I think I realized the issue. StreamYard is a little weird in that I can invite people to watch the webinars, but it seems like I can't invite people to be a participant until after it starts. I'm sure I'm screwing it up. I think but I'll figure it out because that can't be the case. And now that I send Robert a link that works, Robert is here. Okay, so we're working out these like ridiculous details, but when you do live streams like with the or if you do like a live stream or recording on YouTube or even Rumble or LinkedIn, all the others, you can send an invite link for someone to be a member after you make it, because it's usually scheduled in the future. But for some reason, the webinar is a little different, and I'll have to play with that so I can get you in before it starts. It's kind of silly. Anyway, Robert is here, so we're saved, and we know what Bitcoin and the alt market is kind of looking like. And now we're waiting for, in a few minutes, the West Coast, whatever, the next open at 6:30.
New York Open.
New York Open at 6:30.
Yeah, 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
And Powell is supposed to speak, I believe, in about 2 or 3 minutes. So.
Oh my Lord! So we're gonna see some craziness going on.
Yeah, we'll see something. Anyway, it'll be interesting.
Yeah. And yeah, there's I mentioned it. It's in the description. I'm gonna put it at Bitcoin Daily View. All the links to make it a little easier, like this evening. This template, but if you look at the top of the description, wherever you're watching, it's there, this template. I think you can import this, give it a shot and see if you can, people, we can experiment with it, but this is kind of close to what Robert's doing. It's not exactly, I got to get it kind of exactly as close as we can. Then we'll make a scaled down version for people who have the basic trading view. The only thing is the basic trading view does so little about all you can do is have the moving averages and maybe the squeeze. But even that would be quite a lot. So I'll pass it over to Robert. If you want to remove my shared screen, because you've got the charts that matter.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Craig. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen on TradingView. So we got some interesting stuff going on.
That remodel you did looks amazing, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I worked on it for about 3 months.
Yeah.
On myself.
Yeah.
The piano was especially difficult to build, but, I'm a good learner, so I just read the manuals and made it. So.
Yeah. So that like 1974, like, what was it? Like Popular Mechanics, How to Build a Grand Piano that you had.
Actually, I did buy a used harp, and then I just built all the framework around it. So.
Oh, there you go.
And I can't use real ivory, so I had to use, fossilized woolly mammoth tusk for the keys. So anyway, so we have a yellow diamond on the 5-minute. Yellow diamond is kind of an interesting thing because the price was basically blasting through the 75 moving average, which is the formerly red line that became yellow just about the time or just before the yellow diamond got painted. So that shows a pretty explosive move. Trendillo was also green. Squeeze is, getting taller green bars. So MACD looks good. It is kind of getting a little bit of volatility here. So I'm going to be looking at it to see what kind of reaction we get in a few minutes here. It is a bit pumped up on the short time frames, so there's some kind of little reaction or anticipation because we have New York Open right now.
Boom.
Yeah, I mean, it's small, but when the volume really comes in, some days the price just starts jumping up and down, and you have these huge flashes, wicks on both ends, craziness. But this is kind of mellow.
Oh.
Now, it has been going up since about an hour and 40 minutes, basically. So the low is about 19,910. So it has gone up, about $80 in value, which, if I would have traded that, it would have been a nice trade. So for every dollar, you have 4 ticks. Each tick on the mini is worth $5. So if you got an $80 upward move on a long, you have 320 ticks. 320 times 5 is more than 1,500.
Woo.
It's actually 1,600. So that's just from here to up here. Actually, it just hit 20,000.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a 20,000 day.
Yep.
That psychological spot.
Yeah, it is kind of a psychological price level. I did watch it reject this area pretty closely last night, but it is kind of really moving. Now, it's not at a place where I'd want to go long.
No.
But it does look pretty bullish on the longer time frames. The 15-minute Trendillo green is just turning on. So I think we got some upside here. It's probably going to go up to at least 57 or maybe 77 and then roll over.
It seems like in the NASDAQ mornings, it seems like you're going to have the initial market open, and that can be volatility. That's a risky moment, but you can catch moves like this. But it seems like you're usually waiting a little while after the initial explosion, one way or the other, and then getting in a more predictable trade.
Yeah, exactly. So what I do is, well, first of all, before I forget, one thing I want to say, and I'm just going to share this, is pay attention to the times. So New York Open is 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. Literally, I don't know how many days I have watched it at 20 minutes after New York Open is actually a bottom. So what they often do is in the 20 to 30 minutes before New York Open, they push the price down. And then they can get a bigger spread on the longs. They can get better longs because it's way oversold by the time either they push the price down and they continue to push the price down at New York Open. But I keep seeing this thing where basically 9:50 a.m. Eastern time, which is 6:50 a.m. for us, is the time when it reaches a bottom. So that commonly, not every day, but fairly commonly, is a good entry for a long position. So of course, you have to consult your crystal ball, your indicators, and make sure that you're not going to just FOMO into it at that time. But I am saying that it often is a really good time for a trade. Now, if I go back and I look at 15, let's look at 5-minute candles. So if I go back and I look at yesterday morning, the first bottom, 6:50 a.m. my time. So that's exactly 20 to 25 minutes after New York Open is the bottom, and that's the entry of the first long position. Now that one was kind of just a quick trade. I did take some profits on that. I maybe got a third of it or something, and then the price dumped, and then it went up again and made a higher low and then a higher high. I mean, really quickly, just chop chop. So anybody that got in late or Stayed too long in that first little trade, probably got chopped up. But
Yeah.
I was watching on 1 minute candles. I'm looking for the 5 and 10 moving average to cross bullish. And then, as the price goes up, you move your stop loss up, you keep pushing it up, use it as a safety net.
Yep.
Not too close to the price, but just enough to where, like where you'd set a stop loss if you're just getting into a trade. And it's like, well, if it breaks this little support level, I just want to, get out of the trade. So you move your stop loss, use it as a safety net, and then you don't have to be worried about staying in the trade longer. This thing's just a pump, and look at this. I'm watching this yellow line go up and up and up. Let me go back here. Okay, it's starting to roll over now. It did go up to 20,000, 37, maybe 38. So we did get some activity here. The key time that I really want to watch this, since it's already been kind of going up for about an hour and a half, the key time I want to look at is in about 15 minutes. So if you look at, say, 5 minute, Trendillo green's on, you got double tops on the stochastic, which if you look at what it did, at first it got up here, the stochastic rolled over, but the Trendillo wasn't done doing its business. So when the stochastic rolls over and the Trendillo is pretty much, midline or just above midline, the middle of the range, it's probably going to go up more. So you had a double top. The second top on the stochastic created a higher high by quite a bit. So you're basically looking at divergence, which kicked in. So kind of like that. Also, I noticed on the stochastic, when you have double bottoms and it makes a second bottom going into the green on the stochastic, it's quite often making a lower low. And again, that's so they can, get it nice and oversold, push the price up, and make a lot of money. So,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
you're definitely
indicator.
Yeah, you're definitely trading with the big boys when you're doing the NASDAQ futures in the morning. So, I don't know. I find that you can kind of predict. I find it. There's always volatility. You never can be sure. But since I've been watching the NASDAQ recently, I just find it a bit predictable. I mean, and at the same time, that perfect predictability can be setting you up to get totally wrecked, because the big money is definitely playing with this. But I don't think the big money has as much control over the NASDAQ as it does, let's say, Bitcoin. Like where big money can just play Bitcoin in a range all day and make money. I don't think they quite have as much control to push this, so that, big money is playing it, but at the same time, big money is a little bit of a retail trader themselves, if that makes sense. I think, at least.
Oh, yeah.
It makes it more predictable.
Absolutely.
Levels the playing field.
I see you got your copper vessel there. Those are pretty
Oh yeah, copper. This is actually a company that we interviewed on the Radiant Creators podcast. The guy who started to import these. These are from India, and they're beautiful. They're a coating on the outside, but the inside is copper. Drinking out of copper I found to be, it's extraordinary. I totally endorse it.
Can you actually tell the difference?
Yeah. The thing about drinking out of copper is, when you put your water in there, it will change the flavor a little bit. I call it coppery, but it's not bad at all. And it does purify the water. So whatever you put in there, after like 24 hours, you can drink, sewage out of one of these things, and it's going to be just fine. I'm not going to try it, but you pretty much could. And it also creates, if one, this is a little bit eclectic, but, structured water and living water. So you can put, like filtered water in this, and it will basically bring the water back to life.
Wow.
So it's just extraordinary. Yeah. It's good stuff. I mean, it's, and also it doesn't get nasty. So like, usually water bottles, you got to wash them quite often. I mean, these you just kind of rinse out, maybe a little bit of soap once in a while, but they don't get nasty even for days, which maybe is a little gross when you think about it, but they don't.
Well, there's a lot of truth to the fact that, people before refrigeration use colloidal silver mainly.
Mm-hmm.
They sometimes use colloidal gold, but it's too expensive. So they just take a silver dollar and they just take little micro shavings off of it, put it in the milk, and the milk would last for weeks at room temperature. It wouldn't spoil. Eventually it would take over and do its thing. But colloidal silver, colloidal gold, and obviously colloidal copper, those particular elements are antimicrobial.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sure, some of the copper is going to come off. You get some copper ions in your water, and that's all good because it's healthy. It's also
It's good.
an essential element for life. I would imagine that even without any copper in our bodies, we'd probably be either dead or very ill. So
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
Would be. And so, and which stochastic are you using as
I'm
far
using
as
stochastic momentum.
stochastic momentum? Let's see if I can find that one.
I really like it. I'll just share my thing here. So the stochastic, if you look up stochastic momentum, you can probably find it. Let me see what it says in the code. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so I believe if you look it up on TradingView, in the indicators at the top, you can type in stochastic momentum index, and the author is Surgith, Surgith.
See.
From India. So
stochastic momentum
index.
Momentum index. Okay.
Yep. And when you get it on your chart, it's just going to say stock _ capital MTM. Just like this.
Okay, stochastic. Okay, that's not the one. I will find it.
I'll show you. Let's see. If I go to indicators and I go to stochastic. So stochastic momentum index comes up under my favorites, of course. So under the community, it's going to be the one that says Surgith CTLY 4672 is the number beside it right now.
Yeah, so
that's the one right there. Yeah, NASDAQ is just a pumping. Jeez. Look at that. It's crazy. I knew when I saw that yellow diamond it was going to be something pretty special. So I usually don't trade the announcement. So not every day, but some days there's an announcement at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, which is 1 hour before New York Open. So it kind of looks to me like something triggered this increase.
Yeah, something. Maybe it was the announcement today.
Yeah, I mean, Powell spoke. I actually didn't hear it because we're doing the video. I often listen to Top Step TV, and I turn that off because I don't want the chatter,
Yeah.
But they are looking at it right now. Powell is actually speaking now. So.
Yeah, and I guess it's one thing to actually listen to him, but I tend not to really. I listen afterwards to the highlights.
Yeah, exactly. When you're trading in the moment, it's kind of dangerous because the market can react in different ways. Also, it's really interesting, but you can listen to certain Fed speakers use certain keywords, and it gets picked up by AI that powers the market, and you can literally watch the price move sometimes when they keep using certain words. And they're doing this not by accident, but it's by design.
Oh, yeah.
Because the government makes money on indexes and a lot of stuff. They got their, fingers in the coffer. So.
Well, they sure do. I mean, looks like we're going to be, I don't know. It seems like the big short is coming.
It is going to be overbought very soon. I think it's already overbought.
Yeah.
Trendillo is like pretty high. If I look at the longer time frames, like 15-minute, I need to turn this thing off. This Trendillo version 8, I need to turn that off. Because it is using too much power. Okay, there we go. So it's still a pumping. It has literally gone up $160.
Whew. And this is a tough one because with the NASDAQ, I mean, if you can catch these morning explosions on open, then you're set for the day. But this is the most unpredictable moment. But I know it's kind of hard to watch all this go by and then, okay, catch it when it's a more stable trade. But wow, this actually is kind of exciting because this, gosh, the short is coming.
Oh yeah, the short is coming.
The short is coming. This is unreal.
I'm not a big shorter, but when conditions are right, I just have to short. Sometimes.
Yeah. This is maybe kind of one of those times where, unless it holds that, we're looking at a 15-minute candles right now, unless it holds this higher high. I mean, what if it does? That's a lot of push.
It is possible. If I look at 30-minute, which is about the longest time frame I look at, it does have the potential to go higher. With assets like the NASDAQ and Bitcoin, you basically, it doesn't really care much about being overbought. It'll just do little reliefs and then just go higher anyway. Not even really rolling over. I've literally watched the NASDAQ do that. I watched Bitcoin do that, to where you're just staring in disbelief that how can it just be so overbought? What's left? They're still going long, So, but yeah, as a general rule, I don't chase candles. I didn't get into this trade, which I know at least 10,000 people watching this will ask that question. Why didn't I get into this? Well, it's because this started pre-market, and pre-market liquidity is usually substandard. So if you're trying to trade an asset that's sort of illiquid, yeah, the price can move a lot without feeling all the numbers in between. So it can move more easily, but it can also do stuff that is not going to be in your favor. So I usually just wait for New York open. But I kind of regret not, I regret waiting, because I have to wait, till whenever, then it gets, rolls over. I might short it, I might not, might wait for the long. Let's take a look at the shorter time frames, sorry. So it's the one thing you don't do as a general rule is I usually don't short when the Trendillo is green, because it can just go higher and stay green. The stochastic being maxed out kind of is showing me that it's pretty bullish still. Now we are starting to see a little bit of rollover activity in the indicators. The green bars on the squeeze are getting darker, maybe shorter. There's a little bear signal on the MACD. The version that I use is the easy entry / exit trend colors with alerts.
Oh, is that what's saying the buy sell on there?
Yeah. This
okay.
is bear bull and all this stuff, and it'll say like golden cross, which really doesn't mean anything because it's not on the proper time frame. But yeah, it actually is rolling over right now. So the good short would have been about 20,080.
Hmm.
In some cases, they will just push the price down, and they'll usually do it pretty quick, so they can just get on with longing the thing, make the price go up again. So looks to me like they are doing that now. So
Oh, I
right.
know.
Mhm.
It's pushing again. Yeah, I was watching the 5-minute candles, and there's some pretty good wicks on there in the 5-minute, but it's not relenting. Usually, when you see, like, to me at least, when you see a top or a bottom, and you start to see the big wicks, that's usually when you're going to see a turnaround. But this morning, it doesn't care.
Yeah, and I need to correct something. Those buy and sell near the candles, that's actually put on there by another indicator called buy sell.
Oh,
Buy for
really?
sell.
You
And
actually grab,
I
yeah.
still have it on my chart because I was doing a meeting with one of our members a couple days ago, and I was showing her that it works extremely well with Bitcoin on 3-hour or 4-hour candles, this indicator. It'll basically tell you um, when to get in. It's a little weak on the selling because it waits for more confirmation on the sell in than it does on the buy in. But I'll just show you real quick because it's interesting that a free indicator can really do a pretty good job. So there is Bitcoin on the 3-hour. So you got a buy signal here, sell signal here. So it works best, of course, when you have a decisive move preceding the signal. So you got a big rolled over and dumped here, went down, like $4,000, $5,000, and then you got a buy signal. And
Yeah.
it's sell in here, which wasn't really a good place to sell, but it doesn't know that it's going to not make a lower low. It's going to make a higher low and then just go up. So I kind of was expecting Bitcoin to go up to this resistance area at about 64.5, but it's not quite ready yet. So, but I think it is going to come up and push that area pretty soon.
The buy sell, that's a cool indicator. It looks like it would work pretty well on the 4-hour chart for Bitcoin, because that kind of usually takes out, well, maybe
The noise. Yeah, it takes
yeah,
out more of the noise.
it takes out more of the noise. It still would have. I guess if you were in there on that buy and that sell and that buy, it would be doing all right, I think. You're always taking a big risk when you're kind of, what's that called? Like auto, I forget what it is, the feature in TradingView where you can, it can make buys and sells for you. Auto view
Auto
or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about auto view. Okay.
Auto, yeah, where you can have the indicators like that, the buy and the sell, do a buy and a sell for you of a specific amount, and that's all. Automated trading is always a little risky. It's one of those things where it's an artisan's task. It takes a little effort to because the thing is, things that you would see, the computer, the indicator cannot. It's
Exactly.
it doesn't have that human soul, basically.
And if you're going to need human intervention to really execute a proper auto trade, then why auto trade at all? Why not just trade manually? That's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Because it defeats the purpose of the auto trading to have to really think, well, do I really want to get into this? It says to buy, but the other indicators either look good or they don't look good.
Yeah.
And the automation isn't looking at all those things unless you set it up that way. Now, we are working on a piece of software that is pine coded. It actually has a whole bunch of, a massive amount of different things, boxes you can tick. So it has huge flexibility. You can basically tell it to do anything you want. You can take all these indicators into consideration: oversold, overbought conditions, what the squeeze momentum looks like. Is it red? Is it green? Is it going up? Is it going down? So you can really, really tweak this thing. So I'm still trying to get my head around all the logistics of it.
Yeah. and then getting it to trade on conditions where I know in Pine it's easy enough to do, okay, if you cross this moving average, buy, if you cross it again, sell, but to take several indicators into account at once, yeah, it starts to get to be a little bit of a programming task, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, so this thing definitely rolling over.
And so you also look at the 4 hour, not the 4 hour, but the 4 minute chart, because most people, I'm sure many people are looking at 5 minutes, but you pick at the 4 minute chart because that can kind of give you a little edge on the 5 minute chart.
The reason I use the 4 minute is because with the NASDAQ, and probably with other assets as well, if you look at the moving averages, you've got the 5 moving average that's following the price pretty close. You got the 10 and kind of a dark gold below it. What happens is if you're using too short a time frame, quite often the moving averages will just cross back and forth. But if you use the 4 minute, it'll keep you in the trade longer, and it'll get you in a little bit later, but you got better confirmation as well. You can stay in the trade until it actually rolls over, or you can start off on 4 minute and get out when the 2 minute rolls over, because obviously we knew it was rolling over, and the 2 minute has just rolled over on the last on the last candle.
It's just getting the edge on all those slow traders that trade 5 minute candles.
4 minute does give you an edge. It also gives you better confirmation on the buying, better confirmation on the exit, or opening a short even. I mean, you can short this when the moving average is bearish. So
that is quite a push today.
Yes, it is.
So I'm looking at on the 5 minute candle.
I'm I'm really hoping it doesn't just go up and
Well, we're on a 5 minute chart, and the 5 moving average is definitely still well above the 10 moving average. So, and really the tangent of the 5 moving average hasn't changed. I mean, so we're still looking pretty hot, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't trade this right now as a long, not a chance.
Well, it acts like it wants to roll over badly. So it's going to take a little bit of time, because when you get this kind of a high structure pumped up, there's a lot of FOMO involved. And everybody, I wouldn't say everybody, there's perma bears and perma bulls, but most people that trade futures came from a spot background where the price goes up and you make money. There is no going down and making money in the spot market, only losing money or staying in trades and being underwater.
Yeah.
So the natural instinct of many traders is to, see the price going up and go long. It's going up. Let's make some money. But shorting is kind of like writing with your left hand if you're right-handed. It just feels funny. And I think for perma bulls, the fear is a little greater that the trade's going to go against you when you go short. This is just kind of the way I think about the psychology of it. I mean, some people agree with me and some might disagree, but I have shorted before. I've made quite a bit of money shorting, but I've also lost money shorting when the price was just totally rolling over and then it just went up and hit my stop loss.
Yeah. Well, I always thought, shorting feels like you're, trading standing on your head. It does.
It is kind of like that. Yeah.
It's just so, I think a person can learn it. I'm still learning it, as far as it's not that seeing it in the chart is that hard. It's just so weird. And I guess just with practice, you get familiar and you don't. So I think like the really, truly hardcore trader, they're trading it up and down, but it's weird to short until you're used to it, I guess. I'm still getting used to it, but also just trading long gives you a break too, because if you're trading up and down, especially in like a 5 minute time frame, 15-minute chart, you're trading so much it can burn you out. Or if you're only longing, it gives you a little break in between trades. So I see it as a way to kind of if you stare at something too long, you stop seeing it. And so when you're only trading longs, that's kind of my method a little bit. Is just it gives me a break. I can go, okay, I'm gonna walk away for a minute and wait for this thing to come back up, rather than trying to catch each bottom and each top, which can get a little fatiguing unless you're in the zone, or it's just incredibly, like this to me is probably going to be, this is an incredibly obvious short coming up. It's almost easy. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but you know,
Well, it's
it's a
trying
hard,
to dump. It's trying to dump for sure right now.
yeah.
If you look at the way the candles are acting, there's a
And look
lot
at
of pressure
and look
from
at that wick, that
yeah.
perfect wick on the 5-minute chart, the wick to the 10 moving average.
Yep. Tapped
Boom.
tapped on the 10.
Yeah. And this
One
is
thing
where I need, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, one thing I was going to mention was the 75 moving average plays a major role. This is 5-minute, commonly used time frame. You can see how it rejected the 75 in here. Pre-markets, about approximately 7 a.m. Eastern, and then it went down. It rejected it again, and then it made a higher low. And once it broke this above the 75, it just took off.
Yeah.
That was, it was all over with. Boom. So the 75 does play a major role on commonly used time frames such as 2-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute, even 15-minute. It just depends on where the 75 is at on the particular time frame that you're using. But it seems to just happen over and over again. I mean, I could literally probably change to a 2-minute and find places where the 75 was perfectly either rejected or used as a bounce point. So it really comes into the play on a lot of different time frames. So this could actually just kind of mess around in this area here and give the overbought condition just enough of a relief to just go higher.
Yeah.
Or they could just take the bears could just take over and just dump it down to,
yeah, it's definitely flirting with that, the 5 moving average, and it wick to the 10. I mean, and but the indicators aren't really rolling over on the 5-minute chart, so too much of an extreme. So yeah, it's a precarious situation.
Well, 5-minute takes more time. So if you look at the 1-minute,
oh, there you go.
It's kind of rolled over and it's just kind of chopping, generally in a downward direction. But it's also at the same time, it's acting like they could push the price up again.
Yeah.
That makes for a tough trading decision because even if it makes a higher high than the last high at about 20,098, it could still just make a slightly higher high and then just dump. So getting on the right side of a trade like this, unless you shorted the very top, it's kind of hard, when you're thinking about what to do. So if you're not sure what to do, the best decision is just wait.
Yeah.
Don't force the trade. Don't go long when you should have went short, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So watching the NASDAQ on the day when it doesn't just take off at the New York Open, or goes up prematurely and you miss the trade, you just have to look at it and say, well, it's going to come down and I can make money off those same numbers all over again, multiple times. So it's really not even a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
So I mean, if the price goes up from 19,950 to 20,100 and you miss it, well, it's going to come down eventually, and then go up and bounce again.
Yeah.
So it just happens over and over again. The only thing you miss if you trade it prematurely is you miss losing money. So I don't like to
Yeah,
lose money, so I'm just kind of hanging out and going, well, what's it going to do now? It looks pretty bullish.
I know.
Sometimes you can actually go to 15-second candles and pull trades out of it just by looking at the indicators, getting in when it's, when the indicators look right, when it's basically oversold, you can just get in and scalp 15-second candles. Because 15-second shows the volatility. It's really zooming in on what's really happening. So I can see that on 15-second, the Trendillo is turning green again. And, it just kind of wants to go up. So it's going to probably almost certainly push at that last high. And I think now that it's going to go higher. But it just seems to have kind of came out of that retrace and said, nope, we're not going down too far. We're just going to go up.
Yeah.
I also look at the volume. And one thing I see when there's periods of kind of uncertainty is I see an overall decline in volume. This kind of gets heavier decline in volume as the morning goes on, because if traders made money on this long, they might have made $2,000 or $3,000 and said, well, that's good for the day, and just going to leave it because it's choppy now and acts like it doesn't know what it wants to do. And that's good, because over trading will lose you money. You can win a bunch, have a great trade or two, and then if you start over trading, especially in a choppy market, you're just going to get chopped up and start giving it back. So the biggest thing you want to ask yourself is, well, if I went long here, where would I put my stop loss? And I don't even know. I mean, I can tell you that if I did put a stop loss on here, it's probably just going to hit it and then probably go up anyway. So yeah, it's good to stay out if you don't know what it's going to do. I was also looking at gold this morning. So gold entered into a good short. Gold is $10 a tick. So for every 10 cents it moves, it makes one tick, $10 at 1 unit. So.
Wow, Nvidia is actually down this morning.
Yeah, Nvidia is down. This almost looks like a falling wedge. Maybe not quite, but
yeah, it could be.
I think it actually is. Yeah, it is kind of a falling wedge.
Yeah, I think that's gonna. Yeah, that looks. Oh, there it goes. There's the breakout on the 30-second candle. I mean, yeah. I have a hard. I mean, I know Nvidia eventually has to roll over in the big picture, but I think that there's a lot of. I don't think the forces that be are going to let Nvidia roll over yet. Because it's holding up the S&P, and it's an important mover. So that thing, I don't know.
Yeah, Nvidia is the biggest player on the NASDAQ, the biggest influencer.
Yeah.
I believe that Microsoft, I think Microsoft should be number 2. Apple may be number 3. But these are big influencers. So whatever these are doing as a conglomerate, and especially Nvidia, it's probably going to be what the NASDAQ is doing.
Yeah. The NASDAQ, it's still working. Oh, we'll see if it really. Oh, it's starting to. I have a little doubt.
Yeah, it didn't make a higher high yet, but
Oh, there we go.
let's see which time frame actually shows this. So on the 2-minute, it actually left the Trendillo green. It is rolling over. So yeah, it looks like they're finally letting the FOMO die down and let this roll over and maybe put itself into a better position to go up again.
Yeah. I think once it gets this burst out of its system, especially also looking at Fibonacci from when it started to move up, like pre-market, I bet we would find a likely spot.
Well, the 0.5 is down here at about 993. That looks about right.
Yep. Wouldn't surprise me if it plays by those rules.
Yeah, I think it needs to be down more.
And the 382 is right at that previous top.
Yeah, the 382 is right at the former high, which is kind of, resistance.
Yeah. So it's like the 382 or the .5. Even if you go all the way down to the 618, I'd be happy if it went all the way to the 618 and started to move back up. That seems to be the golden pocket, as they call it. That's.
Yeah, between the 0.5 and the 618.
That would be yeah.
That's a nice area.
Yeah, so it's kind of like just kind of lay in wait.
Yeah,
I think so. I think it's going to be I think that's going to be the good turnaround. Well, it's just about 7, a few minutes after 7, so I got to run off to the day job. But
okay,
let's keep doing this. This is a good time to start, and I can usually make it like 6:15 to 7. I can do that. That's a good time. I can even get on earlier when there's going to be things going on. I say I'll put all the, just for everybody's reference, I'll see if you can use this template. If it works, like I think people can open this and make a copy, but I'll update it with indicators like the stochastic that you're using, just so we can have something as close to that as we can. And I'll also link to all the indicators. I'll just put it right there on the Bitcoin Daily View page. It'll just be there, so you can just see it and grab it. Because I know for me, whenever I'm watching people trade, I like to have the same chart up, so that I know so we're all kind of playing the same game. But yeah. And I'll also link to the Top Step and all the things that we're kind of using, so that people can just get in, during or after, Well, okay, well, thanks, Robert. Well, either like
thank you.
My day's open, or like Wednesday and Friday this week. So either or both, I can hop on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's shoot for Friday.
Let's shoot for Friday, and I'll get the site updated and everything, and we'll let everybody know, so that they can so they can get in the game too.
Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, the plan is to, help traders get into trades, make some money. There's probably a few people out there that have combines they'd like to pass, and
yeah. Yeah, and we can talk, maybe next time we can talk about the details of the different Top Step accounts. Like what exactly is the combine and stuff like that. And today we didn't really see a certain entry or yet. This is kind of one of those mornings where it's you kind of, if you caught that initial explosion, great, but if not, you're kind of, am I going to short, or is this thing going to keep going, or it's a little bit indecisive. But it did wick on that 5-minute candle. It did wick right down to that 382 almost. So this might be a predictable bounce. And if it was me, if for myself, I haven't longed or shorted this morning. Just nothing has been certain enough for me.
Yeah, this is interesting price action, because it really wants to go down, but on the other hand, it wants to go up.
Yeah, it does.
You could literally trade this on 1 minute or 30-second candles, and you could make money going long and short, just like you said.
Yeah.
You got to get it right. Otherwise, you're just going to get destroyed.
Yeah, and that's not the idea. All right, well, Robert, I will talk to you Friday. We'll get an invite out sooner so people can hop on.
Okay. That
All right.
sounds great, Craig.
Take it easy. Talk to you soon.
All right. Take care. Bye.